Welcome to another video. Recently I've been binging the MCU again, and as I was watching some of the team up movies, it reminded me of a game that also had some of Earth's mightiest heroes come together. A game that captured the essence of a superhero story with a sprawling cast and unique areas to explore. And that game of course is Marvel Ultimate Alliance. But before we start, leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And there will be spoilers, but the game's been out for 15 years now, so you've had enough time to play it. You might remember Marvel Ultimate Alliance way back in the PlayStation 2 days. It was later released on the PS3 and also a couple years ago released on the PlayStation market on the PS4. And now I'm playing it on the PS5, which is crazy for me since that means I've played this game on 4 different generations of consoles. It was probably around the same time those really old cartoons used to play on the TV. You know, the really retro looking ones like Spider-Man, Iron Man, Hulk, X-Men. But this game felt like that it took all those shows and smushed them together, plus more. Not only did we have the big hitters, but we had some of the smaller heroes that I only briefly knew from the movies at the time, like Blade, Daredevil, Ghost Rider. And before this game, I didn't even know who Black Panther or Deadpool was, but after spending my entire childhood playing this game, I learned so much about the world and its characters. I talked to every NPC, I played all the trivia, any piece of information I could get from this game was rinse clean, which is why after 15 years I wanted to replay it again and get the Platinum Trophy just because I felt like I owe it to my younger self. There's so many heroes to players that you're spoiled for choice when it actually comes down to choosing who you want in your team. And the fact that you can only choose 4 characters is just cruel. But then I guess it makes sense for there to be a limit, because if there wasn't, I'd be like,
Computer, can I transport to this planet the Fantastic Four, Iron Man, Captain America? Computer, bring me one of the X-Men.
And of course you can't have a huge ensemble of heroes without having an equally massive rogues gallery. Characters ranging from Shocker and Scorpion to Ultron and Mephisto. And spearheading the whole operation is none other than Dr. Doom.
I'll have your head for this.
I have little time for your petty threats, Colonel. Surrender your ship now, or I shall destroy it.
And I want to say how grateful I am to see a version of Dr. Doom that is an actual threat to the heroes. His ultimate end goal being to steal Odin's powers and to use them to become the most powerful being on the planet.
Now that is an Avengers level threat.
The journey that you take to stop Dr. Doom and the Masters of Evil is probably one of my favourite original stories in comic book games. There's such a range of not only characters but locations that you could only really visit in a superhero story. What other game do you know that lets you travel to Atlantis, Hell, Valhalla and outer space? And that's just a handful of the locations that the story takes you on. And don't think I haven't noticed the visuals. Yes, it's a bit dated, and when I say a bit dated I mean it's very dated. Granted, the cutscenes still hold up. I mean, I think they look pretty good.
And of course, I brought presents.
Behold, my tribute to the All-Father.
But when you see this,
Captain America.
Classic Avengers!
me and my rose-tinted glasses see this.
Avengers!
Assemble.
There are optional objectives to most missions, and depending on if you complete it or not, depends on the type of ending that you get. At the very end of the game, the Watcher talks you through every choice that you made and what kind of ramification it caused to the future of the universe. Shamefully, there's no way to get a perfect ending, since at a certain point in the game you have to choose to either sacrifice Nightcrawler or Jean Grey. Either choice leads to a bad outcome.
It was most unfortunate that you were unable to rescue Jean Grey in Mephisto's realm. For she does not die in the Infinity Vortex. Instead, she returns to Earth in the form of the Dark Phoenix, to take vengeance upon those who did not save her.
But hey, the game lets you stroke a dog, so everything weighs itself out in the end. Once I finished the game on the normal difficulty, I knew I had to bite the bullet and complete the game on hard. I died a few times on my normal playthrough, but there are moments on hard where it feels nearly impossible. There's a section on the second level where you have to escort Dum Dum Dugan through the Omega base, and his life bar went down like it was nothing. Luckily that's the only section where you have to protect someone who feels like they're made out of glass, but it was very worrying when I found myself struggling on the second level. Also in hard mode, bosses feel like they're absolute sponges, they just absorb your attacks. But it's even more of a problem when you have to fight 2 bosses at the same time. They'll gang up on you, and if you're unlucky enough, they'll both spam their strongest moves and then you're done for. It seemed to be more apparent on the Shi'ar Empire section. For some reason that level is a massive difficulty spike where every boss just doesn't hold back. They do too much damage while you hardly deal any. But luckily a handful of bosses in the game require quick time events to take out chunks of their health, so the challenge is always the same for them regardless of the difficulty. Apart from that, hard mode didn't cause too much of a worry for me. You get to carry on from another save file, so I had a fairly well leveled team going in. Also, I recommend that you use at least one flying character, because there are segments in some levels where they'll put a massive stretch of land in front of you and fill it with enemies. Instead of actually fighting them, you can just fly over them. Once I finished the game on hard mode, I carried my save data onto another new game, but this time around I was going to do it on easy mode so that I could knock out all the simulation missions. It was this playthrough as well that I started doing all the trophies that had big numbers attached to them. For example, one of the trophies is to perform 200 finishing moves, which is basically just doing combos by diversifying your input between the X and circle button, so that was easy. Another easy one was to answer 150 trivia questions correctly. If you're not confident with Marvel trivia, there's no shame in getting a guide up and using that to help you answer the questions. Up until now, the trophies have been quite easy, but there were 3 trophies on the list that were the reason that I've never attempted this platinum trophy before, and it wasn't until recently that I've heard a couple of exploits help me get through them. The first was finishing 25 levels with 3 other players. See, I don't know 3 other people that are willing to help, and being in lockdown made finding people even harder. The good thing is that you don't need 3 other players really. As long as you have 4 controllers, then you should be good with this. Luckily, I had 2 PS5 controllers and 2 PS4 controllers. I plugged them in and kept entering and exiting the Stark Labs area. For some reason, the game counts the loading screen as completing a level, so that was that done. Another similar trophy was completing 100 arcade missions with 1 other player. Just like the 4-player trophy, there is a section in the game where you can just exit and re-enter an area, and the loading screen counts as completing a level. However, the way arcade mode works, you need to defeat at least 5 enemies before exiting the level. If you don't, the game doesn't register that you completed a level and you won't see the point screen. And flying back and forth in Mephisto's realm 100 times really does take a toll on you. And you don't have to have someone controlling the other character, you can easily just make the second character jump off the edge so you can move around freely. And the last trophy that originally scared me away from doing the platinum trophy in the first place was having to throw 500 enemies off the edge. So again, I just stood in Mephisto's realm where there are these respawning gremlin things, and I just kept throwing them off the edge and allowed them to respawn so I could just keep on doing it over and over again. And after I threw 300 gremlins off the edge, I had to remind myself who I was doing this for.
Whatever it takes.
But even after all that, the adventure isn't over. As I said before, my last playthrough wasn't easy, so that playing the simulation missions would be that much easier. The sim missions contain mini stories from a chosen superhero's life, be it stuck in Murder World for the gazillionth time or rescuing a friend from the devil's very home. But not only that, you need to finish every single mission with a gold rating, hence why I played it on easy. And if you manage to do that, you'll unlock the Silver Surfer as a playable character. And when I finished all that was left for me to do was to unlock all the remaining costumes with characters, which only required defeating a set amount of enemies for each character. You should have made good strides with this from doing all the sim missions, but if you're missing any, then put the hero in a party and replay some of the past levels. The PS4 version also includes characters that weren't in the original version that I played as a kid on the PS2. There are 10 new characters, 4 villains and 4 heroes from the DLC, and Moon Knight and Colossus who were included into the game later on the PS3 and the Xbox 360 version. You might be happy to know that you don't need to unlock any of the DLC character costumes. They have their own trophy list, but you still need to collect the costumes for Moon Knight and Colossus. And after all that, I can finally say that I have the Platinum Trophy for Marvel Ultimate Alliance, which is probably the most proud one I have. Mainly because this was the game that I was obsessed with growing up. I think if you're a huge Marvel fan, I can see you enjoying this game, and if you're someone who hasn't played this game in 15 years like me, I think you should come back and revisit it. As far as the Platinum Trophy goes, it's hard for me to tell you to go get it just because of how much grinding it involves. The way I see it, if this wasn't a Marvel game, or if it wasn't a game that I didn't have a big attachment to, then I probably wouldn't do it. But of course, who am I to tell you what to do? I'm just a guy on the internet. Overall, it took me 34 hours to get the Platinum Trophy for Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then don't forget to leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe. It would be awesome if you did. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. You know, it's just dawned on me that the PS5 was made to be the next generation of gaming, and I'm using it to play a PS2 game. Is this how PC players feel?